Namo Buddhaya. Thank you for inviting us once again for this next session of a Q&A session with Brother Disham and myself, Brother Ajit. We're very thankful for this opportunity to go through all the questions that you all have came up with, and I think it is very good that you all have these questions. Having questions is a way for us to understand the teachings of the Buddha more and how it relates to our daily life. So I will be reading out the questions, and then the both of us will try to address them as best as we can. Okay, so we'll start with the first question that came in. How do we know what is truly good? The Buddha has a list of 10 wholesome actions, as we have learned in the past weeks, but other spiritual teachers have different lists of different actions. For example, in some teachings, it is good to kill animals for food. In some teachings, it is evil to kill animals for food. So how do we know which teacher is correct? Okay, so for this question, perhaps I would like to try to address it first. Now, when we say what is truly good, the Buddha has also said it's not just to follow what the teacher says. We do good because the Buddha said, or because my teacher said, or because this person said so. The Buddha asked us to investigate even his own teachings, whatever he has taught us. He asked us to investigate for ourselves and to evaluate with our wisdom. Now, he did give us a guideline of how to evaluate whether the teachings are truly beneficial or not. It is twofold, which is if the teaching or the guidance leads to the benefit of ourselves as well as others. It has to be both mutual. It's not just benefiting oneself while harming others, or benefiting others and harming oneself. That is not truly good. So this is what I understand. So for example, some religions or some teachings may encourage sacrificing animals because it is good for you, it will help you in your next life, but it's not so good for the other being. So that may not be so truly good. But if something, for example, when we donate or we give our time to the service of others, first of all, it reduces our greed and attachment to ourselves. At the same time, it is beneficial to others. So I would say, as such, we can start with investigating the 10 wholesome deeds that we have been learning and put it into practice and see for yourself whether it is truly good. It leads to the benefit of oneself and others.
Yes, I would say that the teachings of the Buddha greatly emphasize on the understanding. So whatever things that we do, not just mere belief, or it is the Buddha who is this perfectly enlightened being who gave this guideline, and then we just blindly believe or trust without really knowing what is the real benefit out of it. So the Buddha encouraged all of us to verify his teaching, and after verifying, we develop this understanding on the actions that we do, so that our presence can be beneficial for ourselves and others.
Okay, so we go to the next question. How do I encourage or advise my friend to not drink alcohol or not to take weed? What if my friend says, oh, I only want to try it once?
I think this is a situation that everyone may face. I would first like to say congratulations that you have actually developed this kind of awareness that drinking alcohol is actually not beneficial for ourselves, and you also have this compassion. You also develop this kind of awareness where you want to help your friend in avoiding this action which may lead to his harm. Yeah. So what we can do is, first, when we are aware that this action is harmful, so first of all, we lead by example. I believe it's very important that we ourselves don't drink alcohol, so that our words have more weight. When we say, people can see your example by your conduct. So this is one good thing that we can do when we are trying to convince others.
Yeah, I would add on also, it's good that you want to help others, and like Brother Shin said, if you do it yourself, then you have a more convincing power lah, per se. But at the same time, we also have to evaluate when we try to convince others. Are we doing it at the right time? Are we doing it with the right tone, choice of words? And more importantly, are we doing it with the right intention? Are we doing it because we feel superior? Oh, this is the good way and you are doing the bad way, the sense of superiority. If you come with that kind of intention, people can feel it already and they will be put off. So but I think what is important is we try our best to influence the people around us, but that's only so much we can do. We cannot change how others choose to live their life. So more importantly is how we live our lives. And if people who are ready to accept it, they see, oh, okay, this example has its benefits, then they may choose to follow you. And that is, I would say, the best way to influence others.
And also not forgetting that after we learn Dhamma, we are not measuring how noble is another person by their conduct. So if we do like this, after I learn Dhamma, oh, drinking alcohol is not good, why you still do that? Then you give a lot of comments and all this. We measure other people, we say that they are not good. We try to avoid this because most importantly, when we do that, it actually increases our ego and also increases a lot of our unwholesome qualities. So we should avoid that and we should try to put more emphasis on our own practice.
Thank you, Nishan. We shall move on to the next question, which is, how do I respond to a friend who says, I don't need to learn Dhamma because I'm already doing good things in my life. I give to charity, I'm nice to people, and so on. How should I respond?
The first thing that I will respond is, wow, you are very good. You already do a lot of good things and you also be nice to people, which is very essential in our daily living. We do need to perform a lot of meritorious deeds. So as what I've explained before in the Dhammapada verse 183 is avoid all evil, we do good and we purify the mind. So for this particular case, this person is actually, you can see, is associate himself in charity, having a good relationship with people around him. But however, we can be even better by learning Dhamma. Learning Dhamma means we can learn the qualities that free our mind from greed, aversion, and delusion. So the person may involve in a lot of good, wholesome actions, but however, this person may feel angry at some point of time. This person also may have a lot of greed, have a lot of attachment to certain things. All these things can be slowly overcome by learning the Dhamma.
Yeah, I agree. So when we say learning the Dhamma also, we also have to understand what do we mean by learning Dhamma. In this case, it seems like if your friend says such a thing, it's more like his understanding of Dhamma is Buddhism. But what we are learning, right, is not about Buddhist teachings and Buddhist philosophies and so on. The Dhamma means the skillful ways we can conduct our bodily actions, skillful ways to speak, and skillful ways of the mind. So like for example, when it comes to anger, you may not be a bad person when you get angry, but when you feel angry, don't you feel a lot of suffering, a lot of agitation and also frustration? It's not a very pleasant feeling. But if you learn how to conduct our minds skillfully, with loving kindness, with patience, with understanding and with resilience, this is what learning Dhamma is about. It is learning ways to make our minds more skillful. This is an example. So I would say this is, if you want to ask how do you respond to your friend, I would answer with learning Dhamma is not about Buddhism. It is just more skillful ways we can approach challenges and approach our life situations. Alright, so we go to our next question. How does meditation help in cultivating morality and integrity? Isn't meditation only about relaxing the mind?
Yes, in terms of meditation, this very interesting topic. Part of meditation is we are able to relax our mind. But when we do meditation, when we practice meditation more frequently, we can actually feel that we are being more mindful and being more aware. So how does this help in our morality? Is actually this awareness is starting to build within us. So when we feel angry, maybe we already scold someone, then after the scolding, then we have this sudden awareness, I've overflowed my anger until it harm other people. Then this awareness is considered very good. Because of meditation, you start to have this kind of awareness. Then progressively you continue to practice meditation. Then even before you start to get angry, you already have the awareness. Before you start to say harmful words to other people, you already have the grip of your anger, and you stop the anger from continue to develop. So this is, for me, how meditation helps in our morality and virtue.
Yeah, another dimension we can think about is when you practice meditation more, you will find that if you do not cultivate your morality and your integrity, it actually affects your meditation. When you can actually experiment, right? Don't break the precepts to experiment, but you can observe if on the day itself your morality is not so strong, your virtues, you will find that when you see it, it causes disturbances or hindrances to your mind. Why? Because when you break the precepts or you are not virtuous, a lot of negative state of mind comes. There's a lot of agitation and a lot of frustration, and the mind is not still. And when you try to still the mind, you will start to see, the mind is so restless, full of thoughts and so on. So the more you practice, the more you'll see, you need morality as a base for your meditation. So on the second part of the question, which is isn't it just about relaxing the mind? I would say a lot of us, right, we come into meditation because that's what we want, and we feel very stressed, we feel a lot of pressure and so on. So we come to meditation to relax, just calm the mind and so on. I would say that is one aspect, or the very, very first level of meditation only. As we cultivate more, we should understand that meditation helps us, like meditation say, to build that mindfulness and awareness. When that mindfulness and awareness grows, we can see for ourselves how we should conduct ourselves. If you suddenly see the anger, when you first become very fully aware of how the anger causes so much disturbances to your mind as well as to the body, you will feel, wow, it's so harmful. This is something that I shouldn't continue, and that is how you make the aspiration, or you create that wish that I really should do something about this. So that self-awareness grows, and that is how we guide ourselves to slowly improve in life. Okay, so we have the next question. How does the first precept relate to killing harmful beings? Harmful beings would be referring to pests or things that we think will harm us.
When it comes to the word harmful beings, I would like to ask you a question. Why do you perceive them as harmful beings? So, actually a lot of things is because we think that these beings will cause harm to us. These beings will create a lot of disruption in our lives. That's why we term them as harmful beings. Even for planting or gardening, plants that we don't want, we name them as weeds. So for animals we have this term. For plants we also have another term. But as you can see, those are living beings. Yeah? As I already explained previously, all beings actually treasure their life. All beings don't want pain. All beings don't want suffering. All beings love their life. So by killing them, it is considered breaking the precepts.
Okay, yeah. Another thing is, we also remember that we live in this world, and we are actually disrupting the ecosystem of those beings. The beings were there before us. So by creating our buildings and our rooms and so on, we actually, go into their space, we are actually intruding into them. So if we feel that they disrupt our life, say for example when it comes to ants, attacking your food and so on, then that means we may not be so skillful in the way we live our lives yet, in that you leave your food out, without cleaning the tabletop properly, of course pests are going to come, cockroaches and lizards and ants. So that means we have to clean the place properly and do our best to reduce the frequency. And that requires us to understand more about the world, understand more about nature, and be more in tune with the environment. But at the end, it comes down to the harmfulness of the mind. So if like say for example a fly land on you, immediately it's dirty being, don't come in, and you try to shoo it away or try to swat it. But when you see carefully, it's not the being that is dirty, it is the mind that is stained. The mind is not peaceful, it is not restful, it is not stable. Therefore, when something that comes and we deem it as a harm, we have that sort of reaction. So it is not just related to the living beings. We can relate this even to things that we perceive as averse, that things that we don't like. You know, when you eat food that you don't like, something is very bitter, immediately you have that reaction of, oh, this is terrible, and so on. So it is actually comes down to our state of mind. If we always react instinctively based on our likes and dislikes, then you will have ups and downs a lot. But when we start to not just observe our likes and dislikes and maintain that peace, then you will cruise through life in a more stable and peaceful way.
So from now on, we try to avoid label beings as helpful beings or harmful beings. Maybe the tiger will label you as harmful beings also.
Okay, we have a very good next question, which is, does white lies violate the fourth precept? To what extent does it violate the precept? And is it possible to live without telling lies? Okay, so when it comes to this, I think normally why do we tell white lies? It comes from a good intention. The good intention to protect another person, right? Most of the time, that's why we tell a white lie. But I think we can do without telling the lies if we really want to protect the person properly. Number one, we can be more skillful in the way we handle the conversation. An example would be, say, if you want to protect a person's feeling, the person come and ask you, hey, do I look good or not? And then you want to protect their feeling, you say, oh, yes. Although you internally say, oh, that color and you don't match at all or whatever. So you say that lie in order to protect them. But actually, there may be more skillful ways you can handle the conversation. For example, you can ask back the person, oh, is it a lot of people say you don't look good? Or why do you think you don't look good, or so on? You know, you can develop the skill to go around these sort of questions that you want to protect the person. On the other hand, there are other situations where we tell the lie in order to protect the not just the feeling of the person, but the conditions of the person. But sometimes people may actually appreciate the truth more, although the truth may be hurtful. But if they don't know the truth, and suddenly they find out, hey, actually this is the reality, why you lie to me, or you create trouble for yourself and you create trouble for the person also. So sometimes in the long run also, when we start to work with other people or in your group projects and so on, if we start off with a white lie, right, it can over time it creates a domino effect, and in the long term the divergence you'll start to see a divergence. Suddenly everyone follow the lie already, and then when it comes to reporting to your lecturer or reporting to your boss, then everything just crumbles. The lie becomes exposed and everything can go downhill. So always be careful with telling lies, or always tell the truth. At the same time, I would also say if we maintain truthfulness, people will actually trust you more. And when people trust you more, they won't put you in a situation where you have to lie. Most of the time, because you're always truthful, you will find it easier and easier to maintain that truthfulness.
Yes, I feel it's very important for us. After we learn the Dharma, we try to reduce these white lies that we are going to tell. Yeah, because white lie is also part of our branding. We want to brand certain wrongdoings as something look good. So in a way, we are trying to protect our wrongdoing by branding it, to term it very nicely, just like how we term harmful beings. Yeah, so it's the same concept. So we try to be very clear, and by upholding truthfulness is very important. When we associate ourselves with a lot of truthfulness, then eventually we will be in an environment that we don't have to use lie to continue our living, I would say. Yeah. And
Is it possible to live without telling lies?
is it possible to live without telling lies? Maybe I would like to ask all of you, have you told a lie before? Yes, right? Then means it is quite impossible to live a life without telling lies. But however, brothers and sisters, after we have learned the Dharma, we will have this spiritual life. We renew our faith, we renew the way how we conduct from this moment onwards. So I believe after we have so-called learned the Dharma and we try to stay as pure as possible, then we try to protect this spiritual life.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, which is maybe this life we have already told lies, so obviously it's not possible to live without it already, but there is a new life that is being born when we understand and learn the Dharma for the first time. And that, now that we know, then it is more crucial that we maintain that truthfulness. Okay, so we have time for one last question. Is drinking a small amount of alcohol breaking the precept? Even though I know it's intoxicating, but I don't drink until I'm intoxicated. Okay, perhaps I start first. My point of view is that most of the time when we drink, it is in a social situation. Not everyone go and explore for yourself how does beer drink and so on. It's normally when you're with friends and everyone order alcohol, then you also want to be part of the group. You want to feel accepted. You want to feel part of you want to be in the group. Now I would say that feeling of wanting to be accepted comes from a state where we are not so confident in ourselves yet, not so confident in our values and our standing. So I would say there are many other ways we can build this confidence without alcohol being the medium of it. So this is what I would think.
I think also we may think that, I just drink a little bit, as long as I didn't drunk, as long as I'm still aware of the surrounding. But let us not think little of all these small unwholesome actions that we are doing. It will lead to greater unwholesomeness, as greed also we start from just wanting to eat food. When we are born, we just cry to ask for food. Then after we grow up, we will demand for certain types of food, and we complain that this kind of food is not tasty, doesn't look good. Yeah, so let us not belittle on all these unwholesome actions. Even like, for example, this alcohol, if we drink little bit, then after that we'll seek for other brand of alcohol, or maybe other brand has other taste, then we try, then in a way it actually leads to this
cycle.
Yeah.
At the same time also, if we take only a little at this point and we feel that at this point of time we have control, but as we progress in life, right, there will be more pressures. There will be more pressures from your work, for example. You feel very pressured. You have family pressure. You have financial pressure. You have your own health and personal pressure, and your social pressure, and your partners and so on. When it comes to that point of time, perhaps you may lose some of that control. And then if you have started drinking, if we lose control, we may actually turn to drinking as a way out, to drown out our problems. And in fact, that is how addiction starts. Most of the people who start with alcohol addiction, who have alcohol addiction, always start with just drinking a little. So that's what meditation said, don't think little of the unskillful or unwholesome ways. On the other hand, if it comes to social situations where people are pressuring you, just try a bit only. Now, the moment the first time you say, okay, I just try a bit, then people know they can push you more and more. And they can push you more and more means you can relent more and more. So if you are very clear and very steadfast in your values, if you say no for the first time and consistently say no, then people over time will leave you alone in a way. Over time, people will not pressure you anymore. And in fact, those who can see the value and the benefit of what you do, they will respect you more for having that sort of values. Okay, so I think that is all the time we have left for this Q&A session. We would really like to thank all of you for coming up with these wonderful questions, and I highly encourage all of you to put it into practice. And as you practice and learn more, there may be more questions that arise. So with that, I would like to also introduce to everyone this book. It is called Without and Within, written by Venerable Ajahn Jayasaro, a very respectable and honorable monk who is from the UK but now based in Thailand. And this particular book is in the hotels in all the hotels of Thailand, but you can also get the reprint of it here at Nalanda or many Buddhist centers as well. So with that, I hope that all of you continue your learning journey and your practice of the Dhamma. Wish you all the best in your endeavors, in your studies as well. Sukhi Hontu.